Welcome to another episode of the Social Media Church podcast. If you're new around here, we believe two things. Number one, the people of God is the church. And number two, social media and digital ministry, or digital media, I should say, it's a ministry. And we have real opportunity as churches and as church leaders and as ministries to make a difference and to help more and more people find and follow Jesus through the power of social media and digital media. And today, I'm super excited because we have Justin Herman with us. He's the online pastor at Mariners Church, and we're just going to have a great conversation talking about what is digital media, what does social media look like in a church context in 2025. Justin, thank you so much for being here today.
Man, it's a pleasure. I'm humbled. I'm a fan of the show, so being on here is actually very, very exciting. And just thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with just a little bit of context about you, Justin. So just help our listeners understand what you do at Mariners, and then also what was part of your journey that led to being an online pastor in the first place.
Okay, so here's a little bit of what I do. I work at Mariners Church. It is a church in Southern California. I live in Arizona, and I do everything remote. I go into California, a couple times a year, to record, or maybe there's some key meetings, but pretty much everything else I do, from Arizona. I handle everything discipleship. I handle everything of our online community. I handle everything new people and follow up and our courses and life groups and discipleship classes. We call them deep dives. Everything with our outreach, how people are serving, online, how we're getting them into that. I handle everything with our ESL. So we do English second language, and we do these classes online that help people through conversational English. It's just cool stuff, totally different, totally fun stuff. And then I spend a lot of time pastoring and counseling people. So someone's having marriage issues. Someone's they heard a sermon and it really hit them, and they just want to book a quick 15 minutes to kind of talk through some stuff. Like I make time for that, and I have time. Like it's really great working, from Arizona. I don't have, I'm not walking around an office. I'm not driving to work, so my schedule's maybe a little bit more flexible. Then I'm just able to make a lot more time for people in the online community, which is great. And what got me into online? So, COVID happened. I wasn't working in the church at the time. I was working somewhere else, doing something else. And me and my wife were in Riverside, California, living and doing. We're still going to Mariners Church. It was our church. And you have to know, I was the junior high pastor at Mariners for a large number of years, and then left the church and did some other stuff. But we were still attending Mariners. It was still our church. And during that time is when Eric Geiger came as the new senior pastor, and everyone went online. Everyone was remote. And we're still watching church, online and whatnot. Well, then we decided to move to Arizona. Our in-laws moved there. My in-laws, my wife's parents. We wanted our kids near our their grandparents, which I'm sure a lot of families want that. Being just around family is a really good thing. So we made the move to Arizona, and probably about 2 years after the move to Arizona, and we're still watching online. We're still participating online. We still drive back to California when we can, for Easter, Christmas. They reached out, and really it started that I reached out and said, hey, if there's ever an opportunity, I'd love to come back. And I know you're hiring remote people. Like, I don't know what I could do, but I'd be willing, because I really felt this pull back into ministry. Well, an opportunity came up to be the online pastor, to take over online. And it was a dream come true, being back in ministry, not just at any church, but at my family's church. Like I'm 40 now, by the way. Like I feel like I don't feel 40 in my head. I feel like I'm like 25 and like awesome, but I'm 40. And I look back at like every life moment I've had, and every big life moment's happened at Mariners Church. When I got married, we were at Mariners. Every kid we have has been born dedicated at Mariners. One of our kids was baptized at Mariners. When my mom passed away, I was at Mariners. Big life moments happened at our family's church. So being back at our family's church as a pastor is absolutely incredible.
That's such a cool story. And so I just want to pause and just mention that 2025 in the history of the church is just such a cool time, because you're in Arizona serving a church in California. Even 5 years ago, that might have been hard to imagine. And yet here we are with the power of technology and the power of digital media. And that's just really cool. And that's really beautiful that you get to be a part of your church, but you don't have to live there. And so
It's I gotta say, if I didn't say this, I would regret it. It's 100% to do with Eric Iger. If not for his leadership, if not for his vision of accumulating talented people to fill roles and to look outside the box, just so you know, my boss, who's a communications pastor, lives in Nashville, Tennessee. We have graphic designers that live in different parts of the country. The gal that runs our whole database, we use Rock Database, she lives in Nashville as well. So he has a vision for filling. Not every role can be done online. Okay, not every role can be done remote. But for roles that can be done remote, he's willing to allow it to be done. So it's not like some special privilege for Justin Herman. There's multiple staff at our church who are remote because he has vision for ones that can, let's fill them with the best people possible. So I'm just a beneficiary of his great leadership and honestly being back at the church under him, because I had him as my pastor before I ever had him as my boss. And so being back under his leadership is just absolutely incredible.
Man, that's so cool. I just think it's so fun. I'm a nerd. I'm obviously biased with digital media and technology and the power that it provides to the church, but that's just so cool. So Justin, here's a question that I want to start with here is, can you walk us back to a moment when you realized that the digital world wasn't just a marketing channel, it wasn't just a communication tool, it was actually a mission field? Like what did that look like as you started to realize the true power of social media and digital media?
I'll tell you when. I'll 100% tell you when. We were doing a series. We do the series every year called On the Table. And it's a series where we put really big questions on the table, and Eric, our senior pastor, puts months of study, months of research, months of time into these sermons. And there was one sermon in particular, and it was talking about sexuality. And it was one that was just very personal for people that are living different lifestyles, gay, transgender, they're working in strip clubs, they're, whatever the story may be, they're exploiting their body. They think that's the only option they have. Like it's a punch in the teeth. Like he doesn't pull punches when it comes to, hey, this is God's word. This is what it teaches, the truth and the grace. There was a woman who was in the chat. She was an exotic dancer in Las Vegas, and her mom, who goes to Mariners Church, sent her a link to watch that sermon because she thought it was that powerful. She logged on, watched the service, and in the chat, it's like, this, I feel it's speaking to me. It gives me goosebumps talking about this. I feel like this is speaking to me. I'm supposed to be going into work in an hour. I'm supposed to be dancing. I'm texting my boss right now, and I'm telling him I'm not coming because I want something different. I want what he's talking about. That I screenshot that. I sent that, to me, that at the moment, at least, that was the first moment I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't just people who are, ex-Mariners, people who, live, they just moved and they just like the convenience, or someone sitting, at home on their couch. They just didn't want to go to church that day. They like the convenience of it. No, this is someone who is not connected to our church. Her mom started going to church after, mom moved from Vegas. That's where they lived. And so the daughter never came to Mariners Church, didn't know Eric, didn't know, but yet digital was used in a way to bring God's word to bear in her life in a way that was unexpected and unpredictable. And she turned the opposite direction and started walking away from the life she had and toward Jesus. That was done online. There's no manufacturing it. There's no we need to get her in here to do it, or let's get her on a call. We didn't need any of that. She was consuming something digitally, and it became life-changing for her. And that was so they were talking about the first time. That was the first time. It was like, this, what we're doing really matters. It fired up my leaders. Honestly, it fired me up. I gave story to our pastors and to our elders of hey, just so you guys know, this is what we're after. We're not after the person who wanted to sleep in and they missed church, and and I love those people. Okay, I love those people. There's nothing wrong with those people, but that's not what we're after. We're after stories like hers. And I think they share that story. They share that story with our elders, with a bunch of different people, because at the time that was really became a hallmark, stake in the ground moment of why we're doing what we're doing and investing what we're investing in online.
That's beautiful. That is, it's amazing on a number of levels. It is really cool that you have a very tangible story, an aha moment of this sermon distributed digitally quite literally transformed somebody's life, 180 degrees.
And that's just the first one, dude. Because I think once you get once you crack that nut, dude, once you get like it starts dripping, because drips just like a leak, right? A drip turns into a little bit of a sprinkle, which turns into a little bit of a pouring, if you let it keep going, man, it's going to become a wave. It's going to become just a gushing. And that moment, God used that moment in an incredible way, because it, not just in this gal's life, which by the way, her life's going great. She's walking with Jesus. She's a leader in the church she goes to now. It became a rally cry for our own leaders. It became a rally cry for staff. It gave credence to something that some people kind of roll their eyes at, like, oh, online, okay. But it gave credence to it in a way that's like, okay, well, if that story's out there, what other stories are out there? Okay, if that's happening in her life, what's happening in others' lives? Like, let's get after it. And it really became a rallying cry. It was exciting. But it really was the first of what became many more stories that were, that one was extremely powerful, but seeing online be used as a tool, I think of a guy that he saw a tweet on X. I don't think they're called tweets anymore. I'm old. Maybe someone's got to update me.
I don't know what they're called either. I still call them tweets.
But he saw it on X, and it was just a link. Okay, it was just a link to church and to online, and he clicked on it, and he showed up, and he was in the chat. And we're in a place where digitally we can really leverage that. Instead of waiting for people to find us and drive to our place and be willing to get dressed, and dude, he could join from wherever he is from his phone. We did a Christmas service last year, so I fight for this really, really hard. By the way, I fight for doing services on Christmas Day online. I think it's important. I think that it's not for people just play in the background, because if they wanted to play church in the background, they could our YouTube, it's posted on YouTube on the website. They could just watch it. It's whatever. Yeah. For the person who is joining lives, service live with a host, with a prayer person on Christmas Day, like that's significant. Like they're needing of something. They're looking for something. And there was a guy on last year. He was joining from a bar on his phone, AirPods in, drinking a beer, watching church in the chat, talking with me as I'm sitting on my couch as my kids are opening presents. Because again, if you're going to advocate for, we need to do a Christmas Day service, like the online pastor is the guy that's going to host it. And it was incredible, because it had nothing to do with getting that guy ready and getting him to church and cleaning him up, or, hey, what time is service times? The link found him. He joined, he was there, and we had a great conversation. Now, I don't know what's happening with that guy. Like, not every story becomes like, oh my, but it was a seed that was planted in his life. I don't know what God has done with that seed, but man, I'm grateful that we got to play that small part in his life. And I think the lives of tens of thousands of people every single week. But it's like moments like that just get you fired up and bring focus to like why you're doing what you're doing.
100%, because that guy sitting in the bar, traveling, whatever he was doing, he was not physically present at a church. Nope. So the fact that there was an online option for him is what created the opportunity for him to experience God through the power of a digital worship service that literally would not have been possible otherwise. So
I think every church should have some kind of a digital presence. Okay, so I don't want to jump ahead and stuff, but I feel like every church should have it. It has nothing to do with, well, let's just build an army of people online who only join from bars and from living rooms and from dorm rooms, and it's not about that. Let's use online as the best marketing tool our church has, if that is what the strategy is. Let's use it as the best screen door our churches, or if you're at a large church, maybe you have multiple congregations, the best tool that we're going to have. If you're at a small church, let's use it, and let's embrace the idea that we're going to be seed planters, and it's not going to maybe lead to them coming to whatever first Baptist Church of whatever Rolling Hills, some of these long names. I went to, so full disclosure, by the way, I went to college in Missouri. I went to Central Christian College of the Bible in Moberly, Missouri. And if it wasn't for them, I got the best education there, by the way. So a shout out to my alma mater. That's awesome. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be where I am today, biblical why. I mean, they taught me how to have a foundation of God's word.
Yeah.
But I would go and supply preach at churches that would just have the longest names like on planet. First Baptist Church of Keats, just like the longest names. But you can be that small church with the longest name and embrace that, man, God's doing something here. We're going to make it available to the people in our church. They can watch it wherever. But man, we're going to be seed planters. Not that we're building an army of people online for First Baptist Church of Keatsville, whatever. It's so that maybe we're just a bus stop, on the road of faith that this person's traveling. And like, I view myself as that, and my team is that in so many ways, dude. Because I'm not I don't want to build like some huge, I don't want to discourage people from going in person to come online. Like, if you can go in person, man, go in person. Like, that's great. Like if it's in Southern California at one of our campuses, if it's another church, like I regularly invest time helping people find churches in their area because unlike a physical church, which maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been out of the physical church so long. So maybe I'm wrong on this, but like I envision someone shows up to church on a Sunday and it's like, oh, hey, so happy you're here. Like, we're not handing them a list of other churches to go check out in the area. We're handing them a Connect card and saying, hey, come back next week. Or, hey, take your kids over there and we have a men's event coming up, or join, whatever thing. Where online, hey, fill out a Connect card, let us connect with you. But the conversation always goes to, oh, hey, you live in Washington State? Man, there's a lot of great churches up there. Oh, well, I've never really, found a church I like. Well, hey, if you need help, let me know. And man, we love you being here while you're here. And like, that's just so foreign in some ways to in-person people. And most in-person people would, in humility, probably say, oh, no, we'd have no problem recommending the church down the road. It's like, okay, dude. Oh, let me see that. Give me a video of that. Let me see that in practice. Because truly, online, it isn't about building some like online empire. If for many people, and I kind of view it as these different buckets of people, you have some buckets of people where this is their church. Like they maybe went to Mariners Church, they moved, that's me and my family, by the way, and a lot of families in Arizona that join online. Like we have a family in, Utah and Florida. Like I could name a bunch of families. Mariners Church is their church. They give, they serve. It's their church. There's another bucket of people where it's like they're just, kind of passing through. Like they're involved, in a group, or they're involved in a deep dive, but it's not gonna be their church forever. Like it just becomes kind of a stopping pad on the road of faith that they're on. And maybe they're going to be here for a while. Maybe they're going to be here for a couple weeks. And then there's some people that they just are tuning in for that one thing. They're just joining that one women's night or that one Bible study. I love all three of those groups of people, and I love them all differently, and they all need different things. And I think the maturity of an online ministry is having the self-awareness to know that your role is not to make every single person a full-time attendee of your church's online service. Your role is actually to use online as an avenue to help people take spiritual steps in whatever direction that ends up being. And I think if you have that, then you'll have a very joyful zest for the role, for the ministry, because that never gets old. There's always new people, not to just get connected here, but there's always new people to help kind of connect somewhere else or help them take steps in their faith. And I mean, it's just one of the best joys of being an online pastor.
Man, I absolutely love that. So before we hit record, we were touching base, and you mentioned that. So Sunday happens, and then after Sunday, that's when your roles and responsibilities and accountability really kicks into high gears. So
yeah, definitely.
Can you walk us through, so service just happened on Sunday, you're showing up to work, Monday morning. What does that week after the service look like in terms of all the different ways you're trying to take what happened on Sunday and translate it online?
Yeah. So a couple things, we'll be in meetings the week prior, weeks in advance, talking about, what's coming up in the weekend, kind of planning things, talking about next steps. We're a big part of the weekend is figuring out, making sure we have next step pulls, for people that help them get connected, help them take, whatever maybe their first step or their next step with Mariners Church in some way. Maybe it's a Connect card, maybe it's a deep dive or a class, or you're signing up to serve, or you're just something. So we kind of have all that dialed in. I prep my leaders with that. So I have a great team of hosts and prayer people that are on all of our services. We do 2 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday, and all live hosting, all live prayer, zero AI. I'm not anti-AI. I like AI, zero AI, all people. And after service is over, we, rest. I watch football on Sunday, hang out with my kids, chill. Monday morning rolls around. First thing I'm doing, logging on to Rock, and I'm seeing, hey, who's taking steps, because it pings me with every, Connect card, someone signs up for the first time for a class or a course. I follow up with all those people. We look at all the prayer requests that came in. I reach out. We have a tool called Bonjourno. It's an app. It's great. I think it's Australian. And they use it in a lot of sales and business type situations. We use it in church situation because it'll send me the prayer requests, because I have it all automated, and I'm able to record a little video actually praying for that person.
Wow.
just like going down. So you imagine you're an in-person church, right? You go down and get prayed for, elder, whoever's praying for you, pastor. Well, we don't have that online, of course. Obviously, someone submits a prayer request online and hit submit, but in return they get a video of me praying for them. And so I do all that on Monday. That's my big Monday thing. And then, we look at, what we kind of have ahead. So we want to make sure a couple things happen. One, we take the sermon and we share it in kind of multiple different places. Obviously, we're sharing clips on social media. We're sharing clips, on Facebook and, other platforms, TikTok. We're taking the whole service and we're, embedding links into our online email that we're sending out to a couple thousand people. We're reaching out to all of our leaders to make sure that, the things went well and they're getting ready for their groups. We have life groups that happen every single week online, and a lot of those groups will follow the sermon discussion. So we're making sure they have the notes for that our life group team prepares. And then we're looking ahead to whatever, maybe there's a class that's happening that week. Maybe there's a group that's happening. Maybe we're doing kind of a spontaneous kind of online prayer thing. Hey, hey, here's the link. Everyone log on. We're just going to spend some time praying or some time talking, or we're doing Instagram Live with Eric or one of our other pastors. Kind of send out a text, let everyone know that it's happening. But I spend my time with my leaders during the week. I spend my time preparing whatever kind of the next class or discipleship course or, whatever training we need to prepare for that. And then my time is spent actually reaching out to people from the online community. So we have a Connect team of people that's their only job. They hop in our database and they call people we have people in all 50 states and people in other countries, and they're calling them, sending them emails, seeing how they're doing. I ad hoc just kind of call people and check in on them, see how they're doing. And that does a couple cool things. Like one, it helps kind of clean up the database, because sometimes people, they do move on. Like maybe they showed up for one thing, or they showed up for a while. That's not bad. We document it, make the edits in their profile. That's a good thing. We like that. Good data is, usable data.
Yeah.
And then I have links out there to schedule time with people on a regular basis. So usually throughout the week, probably 1:00 on, there's a bunch of 15-minute, 30-minute, I call them coffee with the online pastor. And it's just it's little check-ins. So, something happened during the weekend, or, you had something happen in your group, or, our hosts, they're not master theologians. We don't expect them to be. So if someone's like asking really difficult questions in the chat, like, hey, our online pastor would love to talk to you. Go ask him those hard questions. So like, here's his link, schedule time. But that's what my week looks like. And there's routine to it, and there's a level of predictability to it, which is great, because there, not a lot of crazy things happen. Crazy things happen in person. So wild stuff can happen in person. There's a good predictability online. So I have a routine. And then, like I said, sometimes I'm flying back to California to record stuff, or, sometimes, something, wild does happen. It's rare. But, maybe there's a death. We had a rooted group. We do rooted at Mariners. We have rooted groups happening, rooted, a rooted network, and they help churches launch rooted at their churches, which is great. We had a rooted group online. One of the women passed away suddenly. And it was extremely sad. It was extremely sad for the women in her group. They were with her for 10 weeks. And then she was going to be the life group leader. And she just passed away from a heart attack. It was sad. The family grieves. And so things like that happen. And and like any pastor, it clears your calendar, because this is now the most important thing. And talking with those women, and a lot of it's done like this, because it's an online group. Some of them live in Florida. Some of them live in Texas. Like, they live all around the country. And so it's stuff like that, that becomes a big part of my regular week, when unexpected things happen. But again, that's like any pastor, right? It's like the flexibility of ministry.
When you were talking, I mean, that's appreciate you painting a picture of what that post-Sunday process looks like. And when you're talking, I mean, first of all, I just love that you get a prayer request and you record a video and send it to them. And what that brought to mind is, so this was 12, 13 years ago, I did an internship with a college campus ministry. And I just remember our campus director. So I was hired, but weren't on campus yet. So we were talking, and I'm driving, and so we're having a phone conversation. And I remember the first time that he prayed with me over the phone. I'll say it felt weird in the sense that like I had literally never prayed with somebody on the phone. It was always like in person and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, what that story brings to mind is I just remember that like, oh, you can pray over the phone. It still counts. Like you don't have to be in person for the Holy Spirit to work, for prayers to work. And now like fast forward now, like you're literally recording videos, and I'm just picturing no matter what budget or context somebody's listening to, if you have a smartphone with a camera, you can record a prayer video and send it to somebody. And so I just wanted to share, like, that's, it's not less than if it's digital, right? And that for me, that was a mindset shift a while back, and it could be a mindset shift for people still today.
Listen, here's the thing. This is one of the key lines for online. If you were to get most of the pastors on here, they would be able to quote this. They've heard me say it a million times. With Mariners Online, things will look different, but different doesn't mean less. Okay, things are going to look different, but different doesn't mean less. And instead of saying, well, hey, how do we solve this problem? Well, there's no solution to this problem. Well, okay, are we only looking through the paradigm of what we use for solutions to in-person problems and trying to apply those in-person solutions to online problems? Because the reality is we have to find online solutions to online problems. And if we're going to look for online solutions to online problems, then yes, things will look different than they would in person. Of course, they will look different, but different doesn't mean less. Because the person online, they're not looking for polish 100% of the time. They're not looking for just 4K video every single moment. They're looking for being included. They're looking for being noticed and being recognized. They're looking for a community. They're looking for someone to know them and notice them. And you can do that no matter where you are in the country. If you have enough of the framework built out for an online ministry, you can do it from your phone. I could run Mariners Online from my phone if I had to. And I mean, we're talking about one of the fastest growing churches in America, one of the largest churches in America, and the online presence and the online discipleship responsibility for that church. I could run every bit of it from my phone because again, my role is connecting with people, praying with people, making sure that they feel noticed, known, making sure that they're connected in groups, making sure they're taking spiritual steps, whatever step that might be. And it can be done so easily. Things like, and I know there's some theological stuff kind of baked in here, like when we get on some of these things, but like baptism for me, like that was a big one. Like we can't talk about baptism all the time and not have a solution for baptism online. And it's like, well, how are we going to do baptism online? Now, I know some people are like, well, theologically, you can't, like, oh, they get all like tense and, very intense. Here's the reality. Baptism for us online is a pastoral process. It's a spiritual process. We connect with you just like this, just like we're on a call. We talk about why you want to get baptized, what's going on in your life. Do the same conversation, by the way, we would have if we were doing spontaneous baptisms or just baptisms regardless, and you walked up from the seats and said, I want to be baptized. Can I be baptized? Hopefully you're at a church where the pastor would say, oh, hey, let me talk to you real quick. Hey, Matt, why do you want to get baptized? What's going on? Well, I feel like if I get baptized, my girlfriend will like me more. And it's like, well, bro, that's not a good reason to get baptized. Let's not get baptized. Maybe now is not the right time. Okay. So again, it's a pastoral conversation. It's the same thing we do with people online. Yeah. Hey, why do you want to get baptized? What's going on in your life? Okay. Baptism sounds like it's a perfect next step for you. Let's talk about planning yours. And then we go through the steps and we put the responsibility in their hands. I mean, they have a lot of ownership of it. We talk through where they're going to get baptized. It's going to be a pool, a lake, a a hot tub, whatever. Who's going to do it? Who do you know in your life who's a believer? Because again, there's not like some magic, like you're a pastor now. So I love when dads baptize their kids. I love when our elders get in there and baptize. I love when our volunteer leaders get in there and baptize. Like that's a beautiful thing to me. So, who do you know in your life who could baptize you? And again, we just go through all these steps with them. And then we help them, hey, set up a Zoom so people can watch who aren't close by. Like, that's a really good thing. And invite people to come be part of it with you. Send out invitations. Like, in some ways, it's even more of a robust process. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade at all. Yeah. It's even more of a robust process than we give the in-person experience sometimes. Sometimes the in-person experience is like, oh, we're going to do baptisms. Like, who wants to get baptized? Here's a shirt, with the logo on it. Hop in, let's go. There's a lot more. There's so much intentionality. Now, we build out these layers of intentionality online because we don't want to do frivolous things online. So, the best way to lose credibility with the fellow pastors of your church is to run an online ministry that feels more like an online daycare or an online preschool than an expression of your church online. So I want to run an expression of my church online, not a watered down, sullied down, a palpable, easy to experience version of the church. I want to run Mariners online, the depth of our church, the robustness of our church, the conviction of our church online, and the baptism process is a great example of that. Like, how do we roll that out in a way that brings depth to someone's spiritual walk, no matter where they live? It's just, again, it's one of the best features of doing things online.
Man, that's an awesome story and an awesome illustration, and different is not less. I mean, I wrote that down and circled it. I'm going to be repeating that.
Anyone
that's
listening, by the way,
yeah.
Anyone who, and just so you know, I stole that tagline. Okay, that's not just an original. Okay, anyone who is listening who has a kid with autism or any kind of neurological disability, that is a line that is regularly used in that setting. It's going to look different, but different doesn't mean less. So, like, my son Beckett has autism. He's a total stud. Okay, he can look at a photo and take the puzzle out and just do the puzzle in one take. Like, his memory's insane. His drawing and art is incredible. Like, he has great comebacks. His comebacks are hilarious, and things for him definitely look different.
Yeah,
but different doesn't mean less. And so I stole that line from a community that, by the way, a community that values that just because they're different doesn't mean we need to put them all in a padded room and lock the door. It doesn't mean they can't experience, oh, you're a little different, you can't experience life. Like, I'm always fearful of that for online. I never want online, and I would say this for my church, I'd say that for every other church. You never want online to become, that piece of your church that kind of just gets pushed aside, and it's because it's difficult. It's better to kind of keep it in the background. Let's not bring a ton of attention to it. Also, hey, we don't want people watching online instead of coming in person. We want people to be here in person. Like, we have offering boxes. We don't put money in the offering boxes. We can't have an empty parking lot. I think the fearfulness of that I think existed. I mean, I think it's dissipating, but I think it also still happens that there's a rivalry between online and in person. Like, we don't want to let too many in-person people know about online because they won't show up in person. I also think that's a reality. Like, it does look different. Different doesn't mean less. So, like, what we're doing online is great, but for the person who lives close, like, I think research shows, I think Barna just came out with a great study about online church and people coming back to church post-COVID. People that can come back to church physically, they want to. That's a good thing. Like, I encourage that. I think more could, but I also think that if we can't give our pastor the curveball every Sunday to say, hey, if you guys like this, if this sermon connected with you, it's going to be online tonight. You can send this to every friend you're in a fantasy football league with, every friend that you are in a fraternity or sorority with, your family member that lives far away. You can, and maybe this will plant the seed with them. Maybe this will kind of help them take another step. Like, that to me is such an important feature that we provide our pastors, that it's what stays in some ways front and center to me, that we want to make sure that online is not just a place for community for the people of the online community who we define as anyone outside of driving distance to a congregation. We want to make sure that it is a tool that people in our church can use to reach and share the gospel with their unchurched friends, family members, whoever they may be, wherever they may live. Because again, that's the investment of digital in the church. Like that's what it will get you. You invest in digital at the church, it will get you curveballs like that your pastor can toss out at any time. And that's an extremely important feature of online.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So I want to transition and start and explore a few practical questions here. And so here's the first one that I want to start with is, and you can choose your own adventure here, like what went well or what didn't go well and what you learned. But like as you think of it right now, like what's a digital ministry strategy that you have implemented and executed that either is going really well and what are you learning, or maybe something that you thought was a great idea and it flopped and what did you learn from it?
I think one of the things that's going really good with there's probably two things I'd point to with the digital strategy that I really like. We do multiple services online live on purpose. Like they people could go back and watch it +6. So they could watch it on YouTube or on our website. But every day 8:30 a.m. They're able to tune in, watch service. There's a host there. There's a prayer person there. Sometimes there's no one in service at all. And that's okay. We have hosts talking to themselves. It's totally fine with me. And sometimes the people stumble on, and it gives an access point every day to a live person to talk to, which I really like. And when it comes to holidays, like we don't just throw it up on YouTube and just let people watch. We have we're doing 28 services live this Christmas at crazy times so that it works for Hawaii, it works for the East Coast. Like we want people to watch service at a time that is natural and comfortable to them. And we want to make it easy for people to stumble on service on a regular basis. And those are two big risks that have paid off traditionally every single year. Every single year that we've done it, we're seeing new people that have nothing to do with our church or other churches, like they're just stumbling upon it because we're making it so accessible. Now that takes time and it takes energy, it takes scheduling, it takes volunteers, because it's not like I'm on 28 services. We have incredible volunteers doing it.
Yeah.
But that was a big risk and investment digitally that really paid off. I'd say a couple things that we've done that haven't paid off. We were putting a bunch into X for a period of time. We saw no real growth as a church. Actually, we just saw a lot of toxic conversation, like no real healthy, robust conversation. We ended up shutting down our X account completely and putting our energy into Instagram, into TikTok. And at the time there were people, and I was, by the way, one of those people who were like, no, let's figure out X, like let's bring it back, like let's get it going. But in reality, it was not a flourishing tree. We speak in terms of that at Mariners. Like it wasn't something that was flourishing and producing fruit. It was a distraction. It was just another thing we were investing time and energy into with a new digital cut for online. And we decided to nix it, and it was a great decision. So I think sometimes some of the best parts of a digital strategy is not just the things we're saying yes to, but it's the things we're saying no to. And I don't think that is some incredible insight. I think that's basic leadership 101 from like almost anybody. But sometimes the willingness to say no to something, or to shut a platform down, or to not exist on that in that platform, on that space, is the right decision. And there's probably risks that like I'm interested in taking over the next 12 months that I'm like going to be fighting for pretty hard, things that are like really outside the box. Do you want to know what they are?
If you're comfortable sharing a couple of them, that'd be great.
I'm going to tell you. There's a platform, a gaming platform. I'm sure you're familiar with this gaming platform. And I would love to. I'm not going to say the name of it just for sake of not. But whatever. So there's this gaming platform. And I would love to have service on that platform with a live host, kind of live reacting to service in there, in the chat, talking with people, connecting with people. I think it's worthwhile. I don't think a lot of churches are doing it. I think it's one of the places that we could have some great momentum with it. And I'd like to see how it goes. There is another platform. Okay, so Don't roll your eyes at this, okay?
Now I'm
If
excited.
there's anything you're gonna cut out of this, you're gonna cut out what I'm about to say.
I'm excited now. You got me.
Okay. I want you to keep in mind that Jesus went anywhere.
Amen.
Jesus went anywhere.
He said go. He didn't say stay. He said go.
He said go. He went anywhere. And he went to the well in the middle of the day when the only people who were going there were outsiders, the people who wanted to be invisible, talking to the woman at the well. Like, he's going to people's houses. It's like, why are you going there, Jesus? I can't believe this, okay? That's how people will react if we get service on OnlyFans. OnlyFans is thought of as a place where it's only sex and pornography or whatever. OnlyFans is a digital sharing platform like any other digital sharing platform. Now, obviously, their niche is what everyone knows that it is.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have online service there. I'd love to have a team of female hosts running it. If that's what it took, the churches that have ministries, like they're going to strip clubs and it's all the women and they're all going in and evangelizing. So maybe it has to be the vision for it and the execution for it. But female hosts and they're the ones in there hosting it because of the nature of the platform. I would love to see our service be stumbled upon by people on that platform, not expecting it, with no fee, no barrier to entry, but they're able to, well, what's the church doing on here?
Yeah.
If one person heard the gospel because of that to me would be the most incredible moment of my career, because I don't know a single church in America, and if there are churches, dude, please someone let me know, that is putting their service on that platform with that branding, with that logo, and saying, hey, that's where we are. I think that is a worthwhile conversation to have. I think it is a very low bar to entry, and I think the payoff could be huge. And I think I'd like to see how that goes. It's something I'd love to test out. It's a wild idea. It's a wild thing. I've sort of some people will hear about me saying it on this podcast before they have gotten the document circulated to them, but there is a document circulating around some staff, with some of these ideas for next year. We'll see.
Well, what I think is so beautiful about that, and it speaks to the power of online, is it opens up doors of creativity that just can't exist in any other way, in a physical space. And you're talking about going to the most unexpected place, potentially, with the message that we believe in, knowing that Jesus can transform lives anywhere at any time, and it's being salt and light no matter where that is. Like, that's beautiful. I'm gonna be fascinated to see if you're able to get that approved and get any traction on it. But I want to mention, like, I love the courage to think outside of the box. But for anybody listening, as we're thinking about social media and digital media as ministry, the creativity, the boldness, the opportunities to go places that you could never put a building, that's a really powerful opportunity for what we're trying to do online as the church.
Yeah. It's once you get that file, however service goes, we do our service in studio. So everything from Mariners Online is completely studio done. Teaching's recorded on Thursdays, hosting's recorded on Wednesdays, worship, we do, worship, they'll do 2 days and they'll cover 8 weeks of worship recording. And then everything's edited together and finalized and mastered. And we have some of the best people working on that. Once you get that file can go anywhere. It can do anything. And even if you're if your online is just kind of like the video in from the room, once that service is over and you have that file can go anywhere where your boss is okay with you putting it. Okay. Like, I would never advocate for just taking, doing wild things and taking unilateral steps. Like, I'm not the older I've gotten, the less, ask forgiveness than permission I've become. Like, I'm a lot more ask permission than I have been.
Yeah.
Age changes you. But man, once you have that file, it could be anywhere. You could be on 5 new platforms tomorrow with your service. And there's a little bit of infrastructure you got to build out and a little bit of routine. But dude, hop on to chat and say, hey, this is what I need your help doing. I need help creating, what will be the framework for getting my online service, my file to various digital platforms. What should be the routine? What should be the checklist? What should be the operator SOP to do that? ChatGPT, I think of chat, I'm sure like the way you do, the way many others do who are familiar with it. I think of it like a writer's room. I think of it like a consultant. I think of it like a bunch of seminary students giving me input and feedback. I'm still going to make the final decision. I'm still going to make the final edit. But man, if I need help developing, the framework for something,
Yeah.
I'd be dumb not to talk it through with that, and then take that finished product after I've refined it through a lot of questions. Oh, I don't like that. I like this better. I my schedule doesn't work like that, or I'd like to increase the, like, you're talking it through just like you would with a room of people. Then you have a final thing that you can work from and make those final edits to. But there's easy practical ways to take your final service, whatever that file looks like, and put it in places where people will stumble upon it, view it later. Even if it's just putting it up on Facebook and on YouTube, it's like, that's more than a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like, putting it up on a podcast, like, that's super simple with a link to discussion questions from, from your life group team or your life group pastor or from yourself, because you're a one-man show. I know I have friends in Missouri still who are, a small church, small country church. It's them. It's a halftime admin. It's a worship leader. They're doing it all. And they still have their sermon up on a podcast and up on YouTube because it's easy to do. Like, you set up the framework for it. And it is a little bit at a time, but the payoff of that little bit of time, once the routine's set, is people connecting with your church outside of your church, people going deeper in your lesson. All this time you put into a sermon, and you give it once, and then no one ever hears it again. That is wild to me. Like, that's crazy to me. And imagine if that was Jesus' perspective. Jesus is sitting there teaching the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, "Hey guys, stop taking notes. Stop taking notes. Just hear what I'm saying, and then tell other people." That's insane. Of course. Why wouldn't we want to use this as much as we can? And more importantly, and I think this is a driver for me, a great digital strategy, a great digital presence drives in-person engagement. I think maybe 10 years ago, they'd say someone's coming to check out your church, and they check out your church a couple times, and maybe they view the website, or they'll come and they'll sit on the patio or sit outside, or whatever the deal is. People will go view our online service before they ever step foot into our church, because we make our online service so available. The online service really does become the best marketing tool our church has. We have I think we have 11 congregations, nine or 11. All right, doesn't matter. We have a bunch, and for every single one of those congregations, our online service is the best marketing tool they will have, because it gives people in their community a taste of what our church is like. And at every congregation, great worship, great teaching. It's Eric and our teaching team. That's what they'll always get at one of our congregations. And it gives them a taste of what they'll experience and who we are. And the more we can use that as the screen door for our in-person congregations, as well as using it as like the living room for our online people who live outside of driving distance, the stronger our churches are going to be, because it's leveraging the things that we're already doing and taking advantage of the stuff that we already have. So having those things out there, I mean, it'll drive engagement, and it'll drive people into your church. It'll drive people in your church to share it with their friends, because it makes it easy. And, especially with Instagram sharing now, like, throwing links up on Facebook groups, like it's easy to just expand the message and get it out there. But you have to have something online somewhere in order for that to happen. And so, it all starts with a podcast, YouTube, like at the very least, like it's like the lowest bar of entry. It's so simple.
Absolutely. So we got three questions to kind of bring us home here.
Sure.
First one is, so I want to talk about measuring success, and then I want to talk about, where would you get to start from scratch? What would you do? And then what I want to end with is what you're doing personally using digital media to connect parents and kids with Carpooling with Jesus, and how that could maybe open up some ideas. So let's start with this. At Mariners, how do you measure success in digital ministry, and what metrics, in your opinion and in your experience, matter versus what just looks good on a report?
Yeah, I think views we do a lot of reports. Mm-hmm. I think views look good on a report. How many people watched it? Like, oh, we got a million people watched this. Oh, that's so cool. How long do they watch for? Don't worry about that. Don't pay attention to that statistic. But the reality is, that's the thing that's some of the thing that really matters. Watch time, dude. Like, because here's the thing. So if someone came to me and was like, "Hey, Justin, we have 1 million people watching Mariners online. And we don't have 1 million, by the way, but I'm throwing out gregarious numbers to make a point. We have 1 million people watching Mariners online, but we only have 200 people signed up for this course that we're doing. Like, what happened? I'm like, whoa, 1 million people. Wow, that's a lot of people. How long were they watching? What was the average watch time? Oh, it was 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, if the average watch time's 2 minutes, then maybe they missed it. Maybe they missed the announcement about the course that we're doing. So watch time is what is really is a thing that matters. Sharing comments, those matter. How people are engaging with it, that matters. If I was to count only a couple things, I'd count comments, I'd count watch time, views. Yeah, that matters, but it only matters in light of the watch time. Like if the watch time is so low, then you could put enough money toward ads, dude. I could get 1 million views. I could get 2 million. I could get 5 million.
That.
You give me enough money, dude, I'll get all the views in the world. It'd be like the most viewed anything. And it's like, oh yeah, a bunch of people watched it for 3 seconds. It's like, look how big our online church is. It's like, all right, bro, like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's having a sobriety around that. Watch time. So like just watch time's important. Comments, engagement. And it's like, and are you responding to people quickly? And I would probably say the biggest hook for me is that when people engage, so like a huge part of online from my perspective is helping people step out from behind an IP address to engage in the church. We call it raising your digital hand. I'll never forget this. I'll make this really short. My first day, my first time coming back to Mariners after becoming the online pastor. So I was the online pastor for maybe like 3 weeks, and then I I flew in and was in the offices. I'm there, I'm seeing people that I knew, from years ago when I was the junior high pastor, seeing a bunch of new people. And I walk into this room and there's this big map on the wall, and it had all these dots all around, in all these different states. And I'm like, whoa, like this is cool. Like, look at all these dots. And they're like, yeah, they were really proud of this map. They were like, oh yeah, this is all the people who are, tuning into Mariners online. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Dude, Buffalo, New York has like some dots. This is great. All right, well, hey, give me those email addresses, those phone numbers. I'll start reaching out to them. And they're like, what do you mean? We don't have that. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I'm like, the dots, like, give me all well, no, those are just the IP address hits. Those are all we don't know who those people are. And I'm like, I'm like, bro, like, and again, everyone means well. Everyone means well. This is the beginning of bringing real structure and strategy and language to online. And it's like, bro, that's so cool that we have all these hits. Okay, definitely share that in a report or in a giving story or like, oh, support our church. We have all these people tuning in. Okay, whatever. When it comes to discipleship, helping people take steps in their faith, IP addresses don't take spiritual steps. You can't disciple an IP address. We disciple people. So, one of the big markers of transition for us digitally is someone raising their digital hand, and we define that by taking a step that gets them a profile in our database. We use the Rock database system. And when you think of most churches, and every pastor listening is going to agree to this, your database is probably bloated with people, and the number of profiles in your database far exceeds the amount of people that show up on a weekend. You have 100 people show up on the weekend, but you got 10,000 people in your database, right? Same thing at Mariners. We have 20,000 people show up on a weekend, 25,000 people. We have a database of 80,000 people. It's like, okay, well, what exactly is going on here? But it's a family that comes from VBS once, the people that come from a women's night once, a lot of people do things once. Well, for online, we have our own deal in the database. We have our own congregation. People can select it. And I'm relentless about keeping that as pure as possible because it gives us the best snapshot of what online actually looks like and who the people actually are. And then more importantly, and I think this is a strategic to how we do discipleship. When you're talking about setting goals for your church, most people will set them based on butts and seats, right? Or we had 1,000 people average this year. We want to grow the church to 1,500. So what's the strategy? Or we're going to grow the life group. We have 200 people in life groups or 2,000 people who whatever, and we want to grow by 20%. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, if most in-person churches do it based on in-person numbers, the counts that they're making. Well, digitally we can't do it based on digital hits. Like, I can't make a goal based on 1 million people. It makes no sense. We make our goals based on the people that we actually know, the people that are in our database. Now, that drives some people nuts because the number of people in our database is definitely lower than the number of people who are watching online, the hits that we would hit online. But those are the people we actually know, can put our hands around, can call, can email. And for me, that's a really practical shift that has shifted our goal setting. It shifted how we relate to people online in our online service, because now we have a goal. We want to help them raise their digital hand, sign up for something for the first time, give, do a prayer request, fill out a Connect card, something. So there's a couple thoughts.
Man. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think, it's fun to see the eyeballs and the view count, with a bunch of digits at the end. But at the end of the day, what is, and that's, there's a strategy element to that, but at the same time, what is actually getting people to take their next step? So let's imagine that one of our listeners, they're like, okay, like, we have a little bit of a strategy, but not really. I want to get started on Monday. So if you were, just to play a mind game here, like, let's say you were transported to another place and you had to start from scratch. You have all of your experience, all of your interests, like everything, but you gotta build from zero.
Starting from scratch.
Where do you start? What do you start focusing on? Limited budget, limited resources. How do you start?
First of all, don't need budget. Don't worry about money. I'm starting day one. The first thing I'm doing is walking into my pastor's office, lead pastor, executive pastor, maybe the executive team, and getting clarity from them on one important question. Are we doing digital to reach the people within driving distance to our location so that they come to our place? Or are we doing digital for those people too? Okay, for those people too, but we're doing digital to connect with people who live far away. So are we doing digital so that the people who live 2 streets over are going to come to church next weekend and join a life group? Or are we doing digital because someone in Florida, they might interact with our church and they might want to do a life group in Florida or join a life group online? What's the answer to that question? Because without the answer to that question, and I'm saying this in the most kind, humble way, I'm telling you, staff members, okay, I love you. That's the first thing you got to make sure you're clear on, because otherwise you're going to get yourself spun up on what the vision God's given you. And if that vision doesn't align with the strategy of your church, then you will become frustrated and you will become upset and you will become disenfranchised. And you will want to leave. You will want to quit. You will want to do whatever. You want the vision of your online to walk in alignment with the vision of your executive staff. Making sure those 2 things are in lockstep are extremely important, because if their goal is for you to reach people, far away, but your mindset is, man, I just want to reach people kind of in the neighborhoods by our church, it's not going to work. And if their mindset is, man, I just want this as a screen door to the people, in the neighborhoods around us. There's a large church here in Arizona called CCV, Christ Church of the Valley. Awesome church, huge church. That's their strategy. Their strategy is the screen door. They want to connect people in the Phoenix, area. I know their online pastor. He's a great dude. You should have him on the podcast. That's their strategy. Screen door. Yeah. Now, if people are tuning in from other states, great. But the strategy is people who are local. Mariners, I live in Arizona. The church is in California. The strategy of Mariners is people outside of driving distance. Yeah. So making sure there's clarity around that is the first thing. The second thing, take an audit of what you have. So do we have a website already? Do we have cameras that are recording the service? Are we just recording the service in audio? What are the tools I have at my disposal now before I put together a plan of what we can do? Unless you're being asked for that, okay, Matt? Unless your boss is saying, "Hey, there's no budget, dude. There's or there's unlimited budget. Dream. What do we need? What do we? Okay. What do we have right now without asking for more money or more stuff? What do we have? Then once we have an audit of what we have, just figure out the ecosystem. Where's the focus going to be? Do we need to add a page to the website? Do we need to add our online information at the bottom of the website, so people know that online exists, right? If people don't know online exists, then what are we doing here? Is there already social media accounts set up? If they're not, well, let's set them up. Like, let's make sure we're clear on the ones we can set up and the ones we can't. If there's social media accounts that are already going, let's make sure we have access to them. Let's make sure like it's clear, like, okay, this is who we're going to reach with these. This is the ecosystem kind of that we're working. We're going to have, Instagram and YouTube, and we have a podcast. That's all we have right now. And then just figure out your weekly rhythm. Okay. So this is something Chat GPT can help with. Other people I'm sure can help with. I'm sure there's episodes people can go back to and listen to on your podcast, obviously, but I'm going to use short clips from the sermon. Hey, we don't have video, so I'm just taking the audio clip and I'm using another tool to make it into kind of an audiogram. We're going to post the Sunday sermon every Sunday by 4:00. We're going to email it out to everybody. We're going to send it out in a text, and then we're going to follow up on Wednesday with another clip, and then we're going to whatever the rhythm is for the things you have at your disposal. Make sure it's documented, it's clear, and the things we're measuring. So put together some kind of a dashboard. We use dashboards a ton. Actually, if anyone needs a dashboard, they're like, what's a dashboard? I'm not gonna go in detail because it actually is boring. But if anyone's like, man, I'm interested in a dashboard, they can email me. You can put my email in the show notes if you want, and I'll connect with them. I'll send them dashboards to kind of get them started. But you want to measure stuff so you can go back and say, hey, this is how we're doing. Because especially online, people can't see how you're doing unless you share it with them. They can walk into a room and see how the men's ministry. Hey, how's the men's ministry doing? Kind of walk over there on a Saturday morning for the men's breakfast. Oh, there are 50 guys in the room. Why did we have 400 seats set up? Like, okay, now we kind of know how the men's ministry is going. No one knows how online's going until you share with them through the lens of how we're reaching people, connecting people, so on. And then the last thing, maybe not the total last thing, but make sure you're really clear on what the pathways are. So, we have an audit of what we're doing. We have our ecosystem of the kind of the things at our disposal. We have our rhythm set up. But what are our pathways? Because again, if the pathway is, well, we just want the people in our area to show up to church on Sunday or Saturday. Well, great. Then we have clarity then. Well, but if we want people from other states and other places, well, then we got to make sure we have a digital connect card. We got to make sure we have an easy way for people to give digitally. We have to have a framework for people to serve online. We have to have a way for people to request prayer online. So like these pathways have to be created before you really launch it. Because if you launch it and then someone tunes in and they're like, well, hey, I have a prayer request. How do I request prayer? Like, how do I submit or how do I do this? Or the pastor just talked about this thing. Like, how do I get that thing? So you have to have a framework for those pieces, like the pathways. And you don't need one for every single one, because now we don't even have that for Mariners. If someone said, hey, what do you have for the men's ministry? We have two things for men's ministry. We have the weekly men's Bible study, and we have the men's ministry podcast. Those are the two things we have for men, or we get you into a men's online life group. Those are the things we have. We don't have a video of the men's breakfast. We're not paying for people to fly out for man camp or any of our other kind of events that they have. If they want to come out, they can, and people have. But, we're not supplementing that financially. We're not helping, lowering the cost for, we're not doing those things. So there's things, we don't have really anything for kids ministry online. We don't do a ton for youth online. It's things we don't do. So there's no problem in saying, hey, we don't have something for that. Rolling out church online doesn't mean you're rolling out every single element of your church online. Yes. We don't do worship nights online, by the way. Our church, we have Matt Redman on staff at Mariners Church, and we don't do worship nights online because the experience wouldn't be as good. We're not set up for live streaming look-in video audio. We're set up for recorded in the studio, released, we're set up for that experience. So there's things that we don't do. There's things that I'd love to do, just me, Justin, as a Christian who goes to Mariners Church, that we don't do. So like, even the online pastor is told no on certain things. That's okay. So removing the pressure that, well, if we do online, then we have to do everything we do in person, we have to do online. That is not real. And it's also, by the way, not what the person who is joining online is looking for. The person joining online is not looking for you to duplicate your church online. They're maybe just looking to experience some kind of community. They're looking to just get a little bit more of God's word. Like if there was a sermon they saw because they were searching for something and they came across it and it connected with them and they just want to be able to email someone. That's what they're looking for. Like they're not stumbling upon you on YouTube and then looking for like, hey, where's their elderly ministry? Where's their knitting ministry online? Like, where's the knitting YouTube channel? It's like, come on, man. Like, so setting the expectation, but having those pathways that are like, hey, we can all stack hands on that. That's super important. And then, I mean, there's probably other steps I'd build from there, but like that to me is like steps 1 through 5. I can do 1 through 5. Like then we're able to stand up in front of church and announce, hey, we have Crosspoint online, First Baptist online, whatever online, and this is what we're offering. This is when we're offering it. Join, send it to your friends. And to me, that's the start of it all.
That's so good. My third question is, how do you use digital media for parents and families and kids? And what we're actually going to do is give that the time it deserves. So if you're listening to this, stay tuned, because Justin, I want to bring you back, and I want to dedicate an episode to using digital media for parents and kids.
Oh,
and
man,
so
I love that.
awesome.
I love that.
Awesome. So we'll plan on that. We'll get that scheduled as soon as we possibly can, because that deserves more than just, a few minutes at the end. So as we wrap up here, Justin, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your passion for online ministry. Thanks for coming on this podcast. And if you had we've covered a ton of ground. This has been incredible. But is there anything that you'd want to close us with as we wrap up?
Let me close with 2 things. One, the online people, digital people, social media people, whoever, you're doing important stuff. You're doing really important stuff. And you will always be in a place of casting the vision and reminding people of why your church is doing the things you're doing digitally. Like you with every new staff member, every new elder, or every new attendee, like you might be constantly needing to cast the vision of why your church is doing what it's doing. Enjoy that. And don't look at that as a burden. Look at that as an exciting opportunity, because you get to cast the vision to new people about why your church is doing what they're doing, how they're using it to reach the people they're reaching. That is an exciting thing. And here's the second thing. If anyone has any questions or wants to talk more or wants to refine their stuff, you reach out to me. I'm the easiest guy to get a hold of. You have my email in the show notes later. I'm on Instagram at Hey Justin Herman. It's so easy to reach out to me. I would make time for you. I'll send you a link. We can schedule time on my calendar. I love talking digital church. I love talking online. Anything that I can do to help you advance what you're doing in the kingdom, I'm willing to do, because it's not a zero-sum thing. It's not like, well, if someone watches your stuff, they're not watching my stuff. That may be an in-person problem. That is not a digital problem. Okay, yep. So if someone's going to another church, they're not attending your church. Their butt's not in that seat. It's not the same way digitally. I think digitally we're planting seeds, and man, the kingdom needs more farmers. We need more people planting more seeds, more strategically. So anything that I can do to help, man, I feel like it's responsibility of those who are in the church to be cheerleaders for the church. So anything that I can do, I'm willing to do. Reach out to me. I'd love to connect.
Amen. Well, Justin, this has been everything I hoped it would be and more. It's helped me. I know it's going to help all of our listeners. And again, thank you for your time. I'm going to email you today, and we're going to get that next one scheduled, because kids and families and digital media and all the screens, that's going to be awesome.
100%. I have 4 kids, dude. I got 1 million kids in my house.
I got 4 kids too, so we can talk through that.
Oh, dude, I didn't know you had 4 kids. See, that's why me and you like each other so much, because we know, like, we got to use our energy early in the day, because near the end of the day, we're dead. Exactly. I can't wait for that. Thank you for that. That is a blessing. I'm humbled by that, and I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, Justin, thank you. You'll be back for sure. And to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in. If you found this helpful, share this with someone you know in the ministry area. Share this with your boss, your supervisor, whoever it might be, whoever is important to you as you're trying to figure out what is digital ministry, what does digital strategy look like. Share this, because the church needs to be in digital spaces, and the more people trying to do that, the more the church grows, and that is nothing but good for the kingdom. So that's all for this episode. Until next week, we will see you then. Justin, thank you again.